dance with the devil on a pale moon night. You ready to mess with the Joker? What? Should have wore your Batman mask.
I haven't heard any legends about this place, but anything like that, I believe somebody made up.
Yeah, probably get tourists in there. It worked again.
Well, no, I don't know if it's gonna get tourists in there. I think that they promote it, or they keep perpetuating it because it gets tourists in, but probably teenagers or something.
This is Fabian Paranormal. I'm Big Sexy. This is Romulux. He hasn't been out with me in a while. He's never been out on a ghost hunt for YouTube with me. He's been on plenty of ghost hunts with me. He's more skeptical. I'm the believer. So we'll see which one of us is right tonight. We're going to Edinburgh Manor. Edinburgh, something Berg. I'm most excited to play with the Joker, see if that's real. Hopefully none of us come back possessed.
Possessed.
Yeah.
I don't plan on getting possessed.
Me either, but I don't think anybody does.
I don't know that anyone's ever been possessed.
I believe it's happened. See? He's the skeptic. I fully believe it happens, but...
By what?
By demons.
By demons? Ooh, demons.
You see? Very skeptical.
The devil's coming after us.
Now he's going to be the one getting possessed because he's not ready for it.
Bring it on.
This is our B&B. Supposedly it's got nice spirits here. We haven't had anybody.
I heard weird noises, but they said something about a cat downstairs.
Yeah, we saw the cat running around outside, and it's got like a little house. I don't know if it just has free roam of everything. But we had the Ovilus go nuts, but the eye, you can only take the Ovilus so far. Here's a pool table. We haven't really played it. We're mostly playing Mario Party.
There's ghosts in that.
In the Mario Party? Yeah, you take your coins and sometimes stars.
Bastards.
Alright, next we'll be at the manor. Alright, we're here at the Edinburgh Manor. Waiting for our ghost tour to start. There's Daniel. Oh, we're going
in the room on the left here. You'll check in with him. You'll sign our waiver, and then
nothing going on the obvious. Within. We're going within. It's creepy. There's a lady. How's it going?
It's going. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go with you guys, dude. Huh? We're gonna go with you. We're gonna go with you in the basement.
Oh, okay.
She's like, we're gonna go with
Start.
Before we get started, I'm going to give you a few other rules that we have in here. We know that people brought snacks. We do that. That's great. If you could keep them in the room up front or one of those, that would be lovely. Because otherwise, tomorrow I get to come around and try to find it. So we appreciate it if you would do that. If you set something down, please pick it up. There are some garbage cans in that main room up there as well. We also have a few doors that are locked on purpose. And they're only on purpose because we have stuff stored in them. And it's nothing important, nothing happy. Just don't break my doors. There are a few doors that also say either keep out or manor staff only. Those doors may open. Again, there's nothing in them. There might be storm damage in there, so we just ask people that they stay out of those areas. You have access to the first floor, the second floor, and the basement. The first and the second floor, you start center, go down, do an I, and come back. The basement is like a giant circle with a few arms. It is very dark. You have very little moon out there, so it would be really a good idea to have a light while you are walking into spaces. If you want to come into a room and you shut everything off, you just go right ahead and do that. But I'm going to show you a room in this building that you may not want to do that in. We'll get there in a little bit. Those are logistics. We've talked about the front door. There is a bathroom house that's around back. It has a ramp on it. It's on the left side. You will go up the side door, not the ramp door. There's one bathroom over there. So if you're all pee and flush once, we are on a well system and don't use too much stuff. Just because I don't need that to be overflowing or anything like that either. That's the logistics. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff? Resident room in the building. The majority of rooms will have dressers, lockers, beds, things like that, because people lived here. This room also has a giant collection of toys. Now, there are kids here. There's a little girl whose name is Suzanne, but they call her Susie. She's somewhere between the ages of 7 and 10. She was dropped off and left here. I don't know when, but it would have been before 1929. When the Depression hit the country at that point, the poor farm system, which was all over the United States, wasn't just in Iowa, started to collapse because people couldn't handle it. The poor farm was a system kind of like the welfare system. If you were homeless or got arrested, you got sent to the poor farm. It was a working farm. They had cows, pigs, chickens, gardens, crops, everything like that. So if you lived here, you worked. The majority of people that lived here were either poor or insane. We do not know what their definition of insanity was. There are highly likely people that were here that weren't crazy at all, but their families just didn't want them. Boom, here you go. You didn't need to fill out 15 pages of paperwork to get here. This building itself was completed somewhere around 1911. There were actually two other structures on the property before that that housed residents. One, we were told that it burnt down. The second one, they physically picked up with men and horses and moved and made way for this building. Now, the poor farm started on this property somewhere around 1846, 1850-ish. It's over 200 acres. And it was a working farm. That was the system they had at the time. After 1929, this facility no longer had kids. But clearly there's still kids here. It was an operational care facility up until November of 2010. At that point, there were 32 adult residents here, and all of them had some sort of mental disability. The county actually leased it to someone, a company, that basically ran it as an adult group home. They would have stayed, but they needed some upgrades, and the county did not want to put any more money into the building, so they left. We are the first private property owners of this place, probably intending to be the last. But the county sold it, sealed bid. Honey, guess what I bought? Didn't have a plan. We didn't know this existed. This was never on our radar. I am not a ghost hunter. I don't go to other places and do this. And I only own equipment because you guys leave it here. So if after your stay you get home and you don't have something, you need to email me as soon as possible, because I will be here tomorrow and I will try to find it for you. And then we will get that back. But if I don't find it first and somebody else does, it is no longer yours. I can guarantee you that. Someone else will take that home with them. There are over 65 rooms in here. Again, you'll have access to most. If you are sleepy, you may have noticed that most of the beds will have bedding on them, and you are more than welcome to take a nap on any bed that you choose to do that with. I've been washing the furniture, so this is clean. Doing 3 beds at a time. So. We're gonna go in this room.
You want to take a nap?
One mom died. It's one of those situations where siblings didn't know what to do with him, so off to the county home he goes. He did not like it here. He hated it here. He was here for about a week. He could have walked out the front door anytime he wanted. Instead, he chose to leave by hanging himself. And he did hang himself in this room. And if anybody watched the Ghost Adventures episode, he did not hang himself there. He hung himself there. On his doorknob. We know this because we've spoken to a live person who was here that day, saw him still attached dead. This is highly likely the original door. But they did turn it into their mop closet, so they would have kept their cleaning supplies, chemicals, all that kind of stuff in this room. So self-locking handle. Now you don't have a big group, but if this door shuts all the way and latches and we're all out here, after I leave, you will not be able to get back in. I have a key. If you want to wander around when you're doing your investigating and come in this room and shut the door all the way, you should be able to get back out.
Is this the room?
This room, what?
Is this the room where you experienced Joker? Or is that more in the basement?
I will tell you about him when we get down there.
All right.
Yeah.
You will have noticed that the bathrooms, you have a tub room and then you have the toilet sink. Some of them have a shower in them. The reason that the tubs are in the middle of the room is that, sometimes people didn't want to take a bath. And so you needed some assistance, or sometimes they couldn't. So you needed some assistance, so you have both sides. The other thing they did do, which was not therapy per se, but they had this apparatus, and I learned this from a person who lived here. He told me that this happened to him. And you know how you can go out and buy those little massagers you put in your bathtub? Yeah. So they had an apparatus like that, and they would put the resident in the bathtub. Except they also put a board completely over the tub and only their head was up. To me, that would be terrifying. I do not believe, we've never found any evidence that they did any kind of shock therapy, lobotomies, that this was not a hospital. In Iowa, we have a place called MHI, or the Mental Health Institute. If anybody's familiar with it, it's in Independence. That is an actual working mental hospital today. And I have seen records where 19 patients arrived from MHI today. So once you went to the hospital and were fixed, then they would send you off to the various county homes. So they did do that. But you can see how we are in a wing. We also don't use any other outside doors but the front door, just because they don't always work right, so we don't use them. But I will take you on the tour through the back staircases, but you don't have to use those. There are main staircases. But you do have a large group, and I'm guessing you're going to split up. So you might want to be aware of this noise. The doors do that when you're somewhere else. I've had that happen to me when I've been here by myself. The doors slam, chairs slide, shuffling, those kinds of things have happened. We do have a black lab who, when we first got the place, she'd be in here all the time with us. And I always made sure she stayed on this side of that door because I don't want her to get hurt. Yeah. But for years I could never explain. She would be in the stairwells anyway. I just assumed she snuck by me, didn't see it. We were here, there were probably 6 or 7 people. We're on the 2nd floor. We had never used the back staircase. Someone's like, where's the dog? I don't know, we'll find her or she'll find us. We come down to the wing and I can hear her whining. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. She was in the stairwell. And I can guarantee you, there's absolutely no way that dog can open this door. We are going up.
You sent a picture of that?
I do.
So this is a common area with a room inside. They did do remodeling over time, and that room you can see on the wall where the door used to be. So it was 2 of those small little rooms, and they opened it up. Now this puzzle here was in the building. It was not in this room, but it was here. And there's at least 2, because those pieces don't go with this puzzle. But I am up to 15 people that I'm aware of that have taken a puzzle piece home with them. 16 now. But they didn't know they took it home with them.
Huh.
Will end up in your bags, your shoes, your pockets, your cars, whatever. If you don't want it, email me and I'll tell you where to mail it back to. So yeah, they can do that. Stage things, I make the beds, I try to make things, sweep and do stuff like that, but I'm not gonna pull fishing line and scare you, hang things like that. I just, it is what it is. I don't do things like that. But did anybody watch Destination Fear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you are in the red room. Blue room is at the opposite end. Now, these 2 rooms have always had a different energy, and some people can feel it and some people can't. And you have to make that determination on what's paranormal and what's not. But I know there's different energies. They also were both remodeled. You can see on the floor where the walls used to be. So 2 of the tiny rooms, they made it a bigger room again. Now there is a man in this room. that we learned about from a Jones County deputy sheriff. Now, they've had to do lots of searches out here. If staff can't find a resident, they come out, do a search. That's what he was here doing that night. He hit this doorway and immediately saw a man pacing in that corner over there. Now, he is very tall, very large, and he's kind of stooped. Now, that same described figure stands in the doorway of the blue curtain room. I don't know if they're the same person or not, but they look alike. The other commonality is they both are very protective of women. That is the women's wing. There are personal items here. That dresser has someone's clothes in it. There's shoes, boots, that stuff. And if you find the lovely non-HIPAA compliant paperwork laying around, I'm sorry, they left it, I left it. So kind of goes with the territory. You're at the front of the building. Large resident room. There are some pictures I can find downstairs. The green binder that has pictures that. So take multiples. Sometimes you'll see something in the first picture and not the other two, or the first and the other, it just, but don't just look at them once. Go home. Look at them again. I have pictures in that binder that I've had there for years, and almost every time I get people come, they'll look at it and they'll point something else out to me that I never saw. So it's kind of a, again, your own way, what you want to see and what you don't want to see. And that little chair right behind you guys, that's my favorite Christmas furniture. I think it was made that way, so it's made for short people. Numbers on them. We did not number them, they came that way. But this is room 200. Shortly after we got the place, my friend decides he's going to spend the night here by himself. So he picks this room because the hallway out there has always given him a very interesting feeling. It's just weird. He has the dog, has his own blankets and pillows. About midnight he comes upstairs to go to sleep. And he gets in bed, she's kind of on his side, and he calls me. And I'm about an hour away. And I'm not comfortable with him being here at all. You need to come home. I'm fine, nothing's going to happen. Nope, you need to come home. I'm just very uncomfortable, I want you to come home. He's like, no, I'm fine, nothing's going to happen. Except at this moment, something's touching my foot. Dude, you need to knock it off. I'm on edge, I don't need you teasing me. He's like, no, I'm serious. Something is touching my foot. I don't believe him until the dog goes nuts. I'm hearing this over the phone. He's calmly telling me what's happening. She pops up out of a dead sleep. Her hair is now standing straight up all over her body. She's facing the end of the bed, and she's doing this bark growl thing that we had never heard her do. And I completely lost it. And he's just calling, yeah, I can see my feet. She's doing it. Like, you need to leave. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't know, but you need to go. And I can honestly tell you, I've never heard that dog bark at all until that moment. And I can't even describe the bark to you. It was something so outside of a dog bark realm thing. I don't even know what it was. But I can see my feet. There's nothing there, but she is agitated. Yeah. Now, she does that for what felt like forever, and then she eventually calmed down, and we talked for 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out what the heck just happened, and then she did it again. Same thing. Up she pops, hair all over, barking, growling. This time she gets off the bed, and she's nose to nose with the radiator. And by this time, his eyes have adjusted. He can see it. There's nothing there, but she is going after it. She sits and becomes a little statue. And then he said he could visibly see her relax. She curled up and went to sleep. Now, nothing else happened. We talked about 2 a.m. He did stay inside. He didn't sleep very well, but he did stay inside the building. She got back on the bed, and she just slept like a little puppy. But when he told me that something was touching his foot, it literally was a squeezing of his foot over and over again. So like, what are you doing in my bed? Now, after that happened, his nephew learned that we bought the place, and he stayed and had an experience. So he asked if he and a friend could do an investigation. And you all are here because of that, right? We didn't know what that meant. We did not buy the place to do this. We didn't know what we were going to do with it. And we didn't even know this existed. So initially we were like, no, we didn't want a bunch of teenagers running around. But he was pretty persistent. So finally we're like, okay, you and a friend can come out. They had some flashlights. They had some recorders. Nothing fancy. They knew he spent the night inside the building, and they knew that something happened. But we did not tell them what happened or what room it happened in. Next morning, he calls up very excited, like, you have to hear what we caught. Now, I've seen some of you guys have some recorders, so hopefully when you leave here and you go back home, you actually listen to that stuff and see if you caught anything. We didn't know what that meant either. We know there are some ponds way back yonder and thought, did you go fishing? So now we know it was an EVP. He emailed it to us, and we listened to it on a laptop without headphones, but at separate times. So when I finally hear it, I can hear the mask, you know, tell us your name, give us a sign, we're not here to hurt you. One of them asked, did someone stay here? We see there's blankets on our bed. Well, at that time, room 200 was the only one that had blankets on the bed, so we knew they were in this room. The other kid said, did you do something to them? Now, if you've been on an investigation, you know you sit around in the dark and talk to the air, and you're all talking on top of each other and all that. So that's what you hear. And at the point you hear that, did you do something to them, almost immediately on top of that, you can hear, I grabbed you. In this guttural whisper, and I'm like, what the fuck? No! I said that word a lot. And I don't use that word all that often, but gee, Christmas. I'd never heard anything like that in my life. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I listened to it over and over, a half hour at least. He knew, I knew, dog knew. We did not tell a soul. Next thing we hear is nephew put that on Facebook page.
Oh.
Hey, I've got these paranormal investigators that want to do this. Come investigate. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This has been truly an adventure for us. We didn't know this existed. Again, we don't investigate ourselves. We don't go other places like you guys do. And you know, if you leave something and I don't get it back, then it's mine. So we that's how I get equipment. I have a couple recorders and K2 meters.
How long have you owned this place?
Since it closed.
Okay.
So it closed in November of 10. We bid on it in probably March of 11. We looked at it in January and February of 2011. Still had heat, running water.
Okay.
And then we bid on it in a sealed bid process, and they opened the bids, and yeah, we won. Then we got possession in October of 11. So not quite a year after it closed. Yeah.
Oh.
And at that time, we did not know that they blew the water lines and shut the heat off. So when we get in the front door, I'm like, what happened? Because that's all you see. You know, the paint had already started to peel between March and October. It is a steel and brick building, so it holds the heat and it holds the cold. But yeah, and so once that started happening, and he kind of looked at some other places like Farrar and Villisca, if anybody been to either one of them, kind of what they do. We met with the team and said, what are you doing, why, that kind of stuff. And we came up with a plan, and I'm going to blame the dog. And on the second floor, you can definitely see on the floor here where the walls used to be, doorways would have been over there. So imagine you're coming down here, you've got this little tiny hallway to get into your tiny little room. And then they opened it up and made it feel a little bit better. There are a couple of ladies in the room. The lady on this side has short dark hair. She's sitting in a chair and she's kind of rocking. She's really not aware of her surroundings. And the lady on this side is elderly and angry. She's not mad at us or people that come, she's just mad in general. And then the man that stands in the doorway. I had the experience where I was given a day tour and the couple was standing over there, summertime. She had her hair up, she had a tank top on, she was scratched on her shoulder while we were standing in the room. There is a picture in the binder downstairs, I think it's the second picture when you turn. It's an arm and it has some pretty significant scratches on it. I will tell you that that gentleman had a coat on when that happened. That was earlier this summer. He was here last weekend. He had a t-shirt on. He got almost exactly the same scratch, just not as deep, with the same pattern. And it's not just a scratch, you'll have to look at it to see. When he came back, when he signed up again, I said, dude, you sure you want to do this? Because the first time it happened, we were in the dining room, and he and his wife were coming last, and he's like, I need to leave, and I need to leave now. So I took him outside, and I asked him what happened, and he showed me the scratch on his arm. This gentleman is a very big guy, and he was a prison guard, and it scared him. So when he came back, he had his kids with him. He's like, I wouldn't be here, but my kids want to come. So he was still pretty uncomfortable. And we get down to in the basement near the dining room area. He's like, I said, are you okay? He's like, my arm is tingling. And when we got back upstairs, he had the almost the same mark. Wow. So those kinds of things have been known to happen. I am of the opinion that if you have an experience, that's your experience. I can't take that from you. I'm not going to tell you that it didn't happen. That's not my job. So you have to make that determination on whether you believe, you heard, saw, smelled, anything like that. That is your job to do that. I can tell you the things that I've experienced and the things that other people have told me or that I've witnessed. But ultimately, determining what's paranormal and what's not is up to you. And I know that I'm a little different in that respect. There are people that say these are facts, this is the way it is, and I don't believe that we can have that knowledge. So we are going to go to the basement. You're going to need a flashlight. You do not have to use the back staircases. There are the main staircases in the middle of the building. A lot easier to get up and down between the floors. It's just the way that I go. Normally in the daytime we have these windows here. So this room is really bright, sunny, happy day. Again, the basement is like a giant circle with a few arms. Now, we thought about getting a working bathroom inside the building, but because we don't heat it, you have to do special things. So my friend was here by himself. There's a bathroom in a room on the other side of this wall, and you literally can go into the first room and into the bathroom. And that's about all the space you have. He checks the lines and he turns to leave the room, and he kicks something that he swears wasn't on the floor when he went in. It's a little yellow foam banana that the dog carries around with her. She wasn't here that day. So he just blew it off. He's like, I just missed it when I went in. Now the boiler room, and if we have a small enough group, I'll probably take you down there, but it's out this door, down a few more stairs. That's where the lines come into the building, so he went and checked those, now he's gonna leave for the day. Now this is between noon and 2, bright sunny day. Comes through this doorway, and immediately, out the corner of his eye, sees a man standing in that corner, just like he could see you. Now, he is a science and physics guy. So he's like, okay, all my doors are locked, no one should be inside, what do I do? He turns to confront the guy. They stared at each other for what felt like forever, but it probably was only a few seconds, and then that man disappeared. He left this building and did not come back for 30 days. It's like, that does not happen in the science and physics world. I am done. But once he got his head wrapped around it, he comes in here. This guy is about 6'3". He's got, how tall are you?
6'1", 6'2".
So yeah, so a little taller. Yeah. I'm too slow. I should start doing that. Anyway, he's about 6'3", and he's got this dark brown, almost black, bushy beard, and he's wearing a leather duster, so like a cowboy coat. And he has got not a traditional cowboy hat, but a flat-brimmed, round-topped hat, and he is just standing there. And then he wasn't. Now, other people have seen him in this room or in the laundry room, which is the room out there. And I have no idea who he is or why he's here. Doesn't matter to me who he is or why he's here. But there is the other guy that lives in the basement, more commonly known as the Joker. Now, the TV show did not make up his name. He's had that name for years. I call him the guy that lives in the basement. To my knowledge, no one's ever gotten any features on him. He's a shadow. All white, all black, some combination of the two. He is extremely tall. I do believe that he wants you to be afraid of him. We personally have never felt anything malevolent, but I have been pushed. Thank God it wasn't a full-on frontal, but it was like a shoulder jack. I was walking from the laundry room to the dining room, middle of the day, and all of a sudden I went, don't do that again. Had my hair pulled, seen people scratched. Probably if you are ever uncomfortable, one of the best things to do is just to walk out of that room, and sometimes that will help. If you need to leave the building, then let Lauren know, because sometimes that needs to happen as well. But there was a gal on a day tour standing to my left. I looked at her, and she's got her hand on her throat like this. And I asked her if she was okay, and she told me that something had a hold of her throat. Do you need to leave? No, I'm good. So she was fine. But there are other people that have come in here where I see what's happening. There was I think she's probably a teenager in one of the tours today, and we were in the red curtain room, and she was literally standing in the corner where the man paces. And I could see her. She she was very uncomfortable. She kept just, and so I got to that part, and I just like, yeah, and he stands over there, and she like bolts. But I've seen somewhere things are happening, and I don't tell them that I see them happening because I know that will really, make their world go sideways. So let them figure that out on their own. So if you have your light, out the door, to the right, down the stairs. So originally, this building was heated with coal. So they would have had a coal chute, and it was your job to fill that thing up all day long to make sure heat stayed in this place. And then they converted it to fuel oil. And so somebody else was paying the bills from 2004 to 2010, but when the county got it back, they learned very quickly how much it cost to get this place. And they told us in 2011 it was costing between $8,000 and $10,000 a month. So I'm not going to eat it. I'm sorry. Shut your lights off. Not a lot, but you can see how dark this room gets. Believe it or not, this is not the darkest room in the building, but it comes close. Now there are so if you want to go into a room and you need to set up something, you want to put your recorder or something like that somewhere, flip a switch and hopefully it works, because hopefully this one does. So we do have to. Last person up, shut the light off. The fans, there's 3 of them. They all used to look like that little guy over there. But about 7 years ago, we were going to paint this room, and believe it or not, they work. But I did learn the hard way that you can't let them run. I had box fans going. It was so humid that week that I just didn't get to paint anything. So I come downstairs and my box fan had tipped over, and when I went to pick it back up, I realized that all 4 blades on that fan over there had flown off. So I put new ones on it, and it's stayed. And then this one, the table didn't used to be there, so when people would come in here to the tours, they were touching that fan, and it disintegrates. And so I didn't want that to be a thing. So I put new ones on that one, and that one's kind of out of the way, and no one really bothers him yet. And once he starts falling apart, I'll probably have to change him too. So this is a lesson for you folks at home who have ceiling fans. Probably not a good idea to stand on a round, unstable table to change your ceiling fan. That's what I gotta do. Always fun. I'm gonna go in the room. There is a pipe in the middle of the room, so watch your heads. There are some seats that still work. Wow.
Welcome to the jungle. I really gotta pee. Tiny bladder.
There is a grassy hill on the side of the building with the white box on it. You're now underneath that. Oh. This room is not original to the building. It was added at some point as a storm shelter. And I haven't been able to find documents as to what year it was added. But there used to be a door over there. They would close. There'd be a door here. They would close. Bring all the residents down during the storms. And there were long tables and activities and stuff to keep them occupied during the storm. So now go ahead and shut the lights off. A lot of light pollution. There is a gentleman that hangs out in the room. When I mean hang out, literally is hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just follow him around. And kind of have to the rectangular room, door, it's your maintenance guy's room. So he's got a lot of stuff. Just because it's built here, you know, we've got brick over here. And we've got and a concrete ceiling. So it's pretty cool. Pretty solid. So shut your lights off. Out of this room. I've been people are a little cranky, so that makes some sense to me.
They are.
They are?
They are.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of happens.
It's a little.
All right. Be a wall, and that was the cell or the unpadded room, because the padded room was not actually built until 1970. And then when the state came along and said you can't treat people like that, the padding was taken down and was dismantled, and I think it became somebody's office. So if you watch Ghost Adventures, that's the room that Zach was hanging on the window.
That's what
Have you seen the oven doors open and shut?
Like this, they were doing this.
And they're quite heavy.
Yeah.
It was like already. Was a sign that said sign. Oh. Door. Now on the other side of the door on this side here, you'll see something that says, "All my love, miss you guys, Sandy R."
Oh, yeah.
And so the gentleman that didn't know what Zach was doing when he was trying to do the fist bump, that's Bud. He's the one that told us about the guy that hung himself. Because he was here that day and found him.
Did you hear it? Yeah. You did? You did?
Okay. Hear what?
Something Yeah. or something.
I just heard it echo.
And that.
Okay.
Validated.
All right, we are going to go up the main staircase. So we are in a is how she wants you to see her, but it's probably not what she looks like. There's also, does anybody use balloons? Some people have been using balloons because if I blow up my balloon, I put it on the floor and I walk by it, it'll move. But if I'm here, my balloon's over there and it starts moving, that's something a little different. I've also had the experience where a gentleman put a balloon on his dresser, and there were 5 people in his team and 3 of them had left early. The other 2 came back down to the swing and that balloon was in the hallway. They weren't sure if the teammates put it there or not, so they put it back on the dresser and propped it up with a little domino. Finish their investigation, they're going to leave, but they check on their balloon, and that balloon was now on that dresser over there, and so was the domino. So he was pretty excited about that. Those are my stories. There's others that run through my head. I try to make it different. And if you have experiences, the best way for me to share your experiences with others is to send me a narrative, an email and a narrative. Like I was in room blah 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 and this happened. That's easy. Or sometimes people can post to our Wix website in the evidence tab. You can put pictures and videos there. I think I'm not entirely sure how that all works, but otherwise, please let me know. The one thing, people come, they leave. Sometimes they get to listen to their stuff, and sometimes they don't. But they come back over and over again. That's been kind of neat to watch this whole progression of. I've met people from all over the world. Been on TV way too many times to count. But it's been fun. The Ghost Adventures thing was our first foray into that whole TV world, and their format is the recreations, so those quick little outtakes. That's just me and family and friends. The director had contacted me and he said, well, okay, on this day I need this many people, on this day I need this many people. Every night at 10 o'clock he'd say, yeah, I think I want this many people for tomorrow. Okay, when? By 9 a.m. So I'm, trying to round everybody up. And the other cool thing about that episode is that when you see the storm footage, that's actual footage. He had his tripod in the back drive there facing west, and we just watched the storm roll in, and we just opened up and dumped. Wow. Yeah, we all did that. And then that they do mention, I believe, is something about a tornado. They were so freaked out. That's 10 miles away. Fair enough.
You can still be on work from where you
I know.
So
They're all from New York and Vegas. They're like freaking out. It was pretty funny. So it was neat. And there's not a film crew that follows them around in their investigation. The last day they were here at 6 p.m., everybody left site except for the 4 guys. There was a producer, the show Jay, his wife was here. And then my friends stayed, but they stayed in the bathroom house. And they would do perimeter checks to make sure no one's trying to mess anything and that. But no, they were in here by themselves and did their investigation that way. And then similar with did anybody see Destination Fear? That one. Their format is a lot different. We did the interviews. It snowed the week they came. It was cold. I felt bad for the drone guy because he was trying to fly a drone in rain and wind and snow and everything else. So that one was kind of interesting as well. And it is true that Dakota and Alex were here 6 years before that. But what I didn't know at the time until they filmed that part was that at that time they had only stayed an hour. Oh. We get done filming it and I looked at Alex, I'm like, are you kidding? You guys drove forever in the wintertime to get here and you stayed an hour? And he's just like, I couldn't do it. Could not do it.
oh my gosh.
So that was their redemption. I like to tell people the funny part, when they did their episode, they did Villisca and Malvern and other places, and they had to share an episode. I got a whole one. But yeah, it was fun. And then there's another, Mysteries of the Abandoned, is a TV show on the Science Channel, I believe, and they're out of the UK. And I shot that when COVID hit, so the host couldn't come, but I spent the day with a couple of American film guys, and we spent the day in here filming. And I know that episode did air. Their format is they pick 3 or 4 different locations, and they focus more on historical stuff, and you get just a short little blurb. But I would get random phone calls from people and say, hey, I saw you on TV today. And I'm like, which one? And they said, Mysteries of the Abandoned. So I know it had aired, but I don't know how you can find us. I've heard that you can't look up Edinburgh Manor and find it. Somebody told me it was something like Russian mafia.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen that. And we had a couple YouTubers. Twin Paranormal was here not too long ago. Apparently, I don't know who they are, but another one. So welcome, welcome people. So, is it? What you off and running, and I'm not sure what time you're going to stand.
4.5 hours.
That's
We're
more further than
Missouri.
Yeah, we did
Yes.
4.5 hours.
From Missouri.
Good. Yep. I mean, that's the other really cool thing that I find is that I've literally had people.
Supposed to be here because this is her host location. She's probably been here 25, 30 minutes.
I'm from Tipton.
Are you really?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you some of the things that she told me to tell you guys as far as the hot spots and stuff like that. You got a daughter in, what do they call it, marching band competition tonight,
Yeah.
so that's why she's not here. Okay. But anyway, when we have been here, what we have gotten before, and I think Cindy probably told you the same thing about other groups, we've gotten stuff down in the boiler room. Okay, we've gotten like pushing and shoving and things like that down right as you're going into the boiler room off of that laundry room there. Okay. Third floor, this end, the top. I don't know, has anybody seen those like on TV, the SLS cameras?
Yeah.
I'm gonna date myself, it looks like an Etcho sketch to me, okay, that's what it looks like. But anyway, somebody had one of those up there a couple of years ago on that hallway there. And you could literally see like the figure climbing up on the wall, climbing across the ceiling, and then people thought that they got down there, okay. Sometimes when I do these things that bring out psychic equipment, okay, I don't know who gets into that, who doesn't, some people do. I wasn't even with them. I was down at the end of the hall, and I heard this blood-curdling scream come all the way down the hall, and that's what they seen, and then they showed it to me on the screen, okay? The closet area where the one patient hung himself is active room as well. You get any of the toys, play with the toys and that kind of thing. 'Cause like we were talking earlier, you know, it takes a special type of person to work in a facility like this, okay? I don't have that ability. God bless the people that do, because my parents both retired from the mental institution over in Illinois. I'm about 4 hours from there, okay? I was 18 years old, I was getting out of high school, and my dad had an interview with me, and I'm like, with who? He's like, with the state hospital. I'm like, well, hell no. That's not gonna happen, okay? He's like, it's a state job, okay? I'm like, no, okay, that never happened. Because I seen the things that went on. I think they probably treated the patients pretty well here, but you couldn't say that about all the other places, okay? So, I became a cop, and that's what I did, so, 5 days a week, okay? So, I'm the total different aspect of this kind of thing, okay? What else can I tell you? We came down this hallway here last year, okay? You guys have all been through this facility. I had never, until I was here last year and walked down this hallway, the strongest smell of urine I've ever smelled, okay? I've never smelled that before here. I never smelled it anywhere else, but it was just like what you would have in a nursing home, that kind of thing, okay? Let's see what Shannon can tell us here. Basement kitchen. There's an entity that likes to talk about their cooking down there. them clean up after the meal, that kind of thing. Basement laundry room right next door to it and back hall to the dining room. Have 5 or 6 people sit on either side of that room and put a light on down the hallway. Kind of like you guys have seen on the TV shows before where they use the mag lights. You unscrew the mag light a little bit, you ask yes or no questions, and you try to get that mag light to come on or go off. Okay? So if you have that and you want to do it in the hallway, offer to dance for them. They love that. Okay. If anybody does that, please come and get me. I can film it for you. You'll be the next YouTube star. The first floor, ground level, west side of the building, which would be this side in the kids' room, ask them to make their favorite toy play music. I think that's a given. Any of those toys in there, see if you can get any reaction from that. Room directly across from the main entrance. Oh, the room that we're in. In that chair.
There was an Ashley here, right? Is there an Ashley here?
Did they end up showing up?
Is that the one that didn't show up?
No, you guys, right? Ashley? No? Okay. No,
Did he say the name Ashley earlier?
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
Ashley?
Something
2
happened
o'clock.
to them on the way.
Oh.
That's my story and I'm sticking to it. We will, and in answer to your question, I will turn the lights out in this room. Okay. The only light I'm going to leave on is the one I got to in that room there. And you might see me shut the doors to that room. And it's not because I'm asleep in there. I might be. But it's really just to keep the light from coming in on you guys. Okay. Oh, here's a fun fact too. Okay. Since I don't have a buddy here tonight, if you see a brick in that door right there, I'm in the bathroom. Okay. Don't move that brick. Move that brick, I'm getting in my car and you're all on your own. All right. So, let's see. What else?
You were gonna say something happened in here?
Oh, yes, thank you. What did she do? That's all it says. Room directly across from the main entrance. There's a nurse there that oversees a little girl. Good luck trying to get names out of them. Okay. There's also a fellow in that room. We can confirm his name. See if you can get it. She didn't tell me what it was.
You gotta confirm?
Yeah. First floor, ground level, east side, far back room was the activity room. Talk about games and coloring books and pictures and things like that. Top floor, the very far west room, the one that you can see all the way to the stairs and further, lots of shadows in the hallway if you just sit and watch. Well, that's actually the same place that we got the SOS camera to go off. Top floor, east side room, the front of the building, orphan girls will chat. Do that too. We'll chat with women, but not men. Okay. Interesting. It's interesting that she should say that because, you know, a lot of these places, especially in this poor farm, this has been a lot of different things. I'm sure Cindy told you that, poor farm nursing home, different things like that. But when it was a poor farm before the inception of welfare, and you couldn't pay your bills, and you got sent to a poor farm or an almshouse to work off your debt, similar to like the old English debt prison. Everybody was there, you know, whether you were a widow who just lost her husband and you're down on your luck, her and the kids would get sent here. Elderly people that didn't have the money to afford their own house would be sent here. The mentally ill would be sent here. Sex offenders, before there was sex offenders, was sent here. So you have a whole hodgepodge mean, if you're a bad person in life, you're probably a bad person in death. Didn't change, but I don't really think there's anything that you've got to evil, denominate, exorcist. I don't think you got to worry about anything like that here. Biggest thing that you guys might have to worry about is the four-legged creatures that run out to you as you're going to the bathroom later tonight. Okay. Might happen. Okay.
Say that
Yeah, it might happen to me. Well, I tell you that I picked on you, so I gotta tell you that. I gotta tell you a story. I pick on myself. Okay, I say that. Okay, I did an old Civil War farm over in Colorado, Missouri, from years ago, and the reason why I did it is it still had slave quarters on it. I'm from Illinois, so most of the places that I do back home in Illinois is on the other side of the fence. It's underground railroad and things like that. So I really didn't do anywhere like that. So I got over there, and the gal that owned the building, Cindy's great. I love Cindy. But the woman that owned that place, she had just gotten divorced, and she was very, very bitter about that divorce. Okay. She had a bunch of cats. Okay. And the cats were all in her apartment. And she wanted to cook for us when we got there, which I thought was great, except she had so many cats. I mean, it smelled like she had cats too, so I was not going to partake in that. And the only bathroom they had, or she had, was in her apartment. Okay. Not going to go there either. Okay. But then, right before we got started, there was this kid that showed up, probably about 18, 19 years old, in a full security guard uniform. And I was like, who the hell is that? She's like, that's my security. She was probably, let me back up, she was probably about 55. He was about 18. Okay, so I'll let you guys go with that. Okay. So, anyway, this guy's outside all night. Okay. I'm like, there's nowhere to go for the bathroom because I'm not going in there with that. Yes, okay. So, finally, about midnight, and we're like here, you're out in the middle of nowhere, okay? Not even a Dollar General. So, this car pulls up, and he gets in the car and leaves. Okay, I'm like, what the hell? It was his mom picking him up. Okay, I guess it was curfew or whatever, I don't know. So finally I was like, yes, I can go to the bathroom. Okay. Picked out the biggest bush you've seen in the yard. Okay. And as I'm getting ready to leave, I walk back to the house. Oh, I got back up here. She said earlier that there was something in the barn. Okay. Whatever it was in the barn, you can go in the barn, but you're on your own, okay? Signed a waiver, you're on your own, because there's something in there, okay? I'm thinking something paranormal, right? So I walk in the barn, there's two sets of eyes, 4 eyes looking at me, and it starts to growl at me, okay? And I'm like, no, I'm good, you can have the barn, okay? I don't know what this is, okay, it was up in the rafters. If I had to guess today, I would say it was probably a couple turkey vultures that had gotten in there. And it wasn't real happy about you coming in there. So anyway, I'm going back to the house. It's hot, it's July, I got shorts on. Something grabs my legs, okay, and starts to scratch both sides of my legs down here, okay. And I'm pulling, trying to get away. And all I can think of is whatever I seen in the barn has got me, okay? So that's why I'm telling you to watch yourself when you walk in there tonight, okay? Well, long story short, I walked through the middle of a rose bush. Okay? That thing, I got to the light and I had blood coming down both legs. So somebody came up to me and was like, what the hell happened to you? I'm like, have you been in that barn? So, if anything happens to you while you're walking out there tonight, that's the story you want to stick with when you get home tomorrow.
But leave out the rose bush part.
Yes, forget that rose bush. Something grabbed me at the Edinburgh Manor. All right, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let you guys go and do your thing. Like I say, whatever room you wanna go in,